Hi everyone, I'm Jimit and in this video I'm going to be discussing about a few good relative strength stocks that are doing well in comparison to the general market. The first stock is KRN Heat Exchanger. What I'll do is that I'll discuss about all of these stocks on a weekly time frame first and then go to the daily. So on the weekly what we can see is that after the listing it has given a breakout and a move of a little close to 70%, after which it has consolidated for almost a little close to 13 weeks now. And on the daily now, what we can see is that the stock is a little around 13.5% lower from the 52-week high, which is a good sign. And the second thing that we can see that is a good thing is that the stock, after making a fall of a little close to 7.5% today, has recovered and managed to close in green, which is definitely a good sign. Now, we can also see that the stock has taken liquidity from the last swing low and then bounced back towards the highs. So it has clearly taken the stop losses of everyone who might have entered the stock on a breakout like this and must have put the stop loss at this level of 815. It has taken everyone's stop loss out and now it is back towards its highs. Now on the 75-minute time frame, I can also see that the stock is making kind of an inverse head and shoulder pattern. So this is also another good sign that I'm looking at over here. Now, what I can try to take from here is that we can see a channel breakout, something like a channel breakout over here. Of course, this is still in the initial stages. Now, the main breakout will happen about 930 level. And once the stock gives a good close above 930, then we can see a further continuation of the momentum over here. The only thing that I don't like over here is that the valuation is absurdly high over here, where the stock has a PE of 136 right now, which is not something I'm comfortable with. But I'm not taking a positional bet over here. It's just going to be a swing trade, so I can deal with the PE being a little higher. Now, the next stock is TCPL Packaging, where we can see that on the weekly time frame, the stock has been in an uptrend since the 2020 COVID crash. It has formed several bases since the move up, where this is the first, second, third, fourth, and currently we're in the fifth base. Now, usually the fifth base is not a base which performs well and it is highly prone to failure. But if you're looking at it from a technical perspective on a daily basis, where we look at taking trades over here with a good tight and strict stop loss, then it is fine if we take a trade over here even in the fifth base, although the probability is going to be a little lower than the other bases. We can see that the stock on the daily time frame has made a base near its 52-week high and has given a 52-week high breakout with decent volumes. Now, once the stock has again gone into a consolidation of 6 days over here, the volume is also kind of drying off over here. Now, what I would like to see over here is that the stock is pretty good near its 52 weeks high. Now the stock needs to consolidate a little longer for a few more days, and once it forms an inside bar or a narrow range or a mini coil, that's where we can look for a potential entry trigger. The next stock is Sarda Energy. This is an interesting stock because what I can see over here is that after making a base over here, no, actually this will be a better base to look at. After this base, the stock has given a breakout with good volumes and a move of around 90% in 9 weeks and has been consolidating ever since. You can also see the stock has been making a 2T VCP over here. And this is the first curve and this is the second curve. Now, what I can see is that the stock makes another curve over here, makes it a 3T VCP, a good decent flag as well, and then gives a breakout on the upside. If we look at it on the daily time frame, I'll remove all the other markings now. On the daily time frame also we can see that the structure that is being formed over here is a really good structure where 500, the 500 zone is going to be acting as a pivot. The stock has been performing well. The distance from the 52-week high is also a little close to 14%, which is also a good sign again. Now the stock is making higher lows over here, which is also one more constructive sign. I'll just mark the higher lows over here. This is the second higher low. This is the third higher low. This is not a confirmed higher low yet, but once the stock picks up again, this will be a confirmed higher low. So this is also a good stock. Above 500, we can look at for a breakout. The next stock is Axis Gates. This stock is interesting because on the weekly time frame, it has been forming a large base. So this is the main base that has been forming. The stock is still in a base where it is above its 30 weekly moving average and the 10 weekly moving average. Also, when we look at it on the daily time frame, we can see that the stock has given a move of a little close to 90, 99, 100% from its lows. And now it is consolidating and again making kind of a flag pattern very similar to Sarda Energy. Now, when we look at the flag pattern, we can also see one more thing that is being formed over here is that there is a VCP structure kind of forming over here where this is the first turn, this is the second T, and this is the third T. Very similar to Sarda Energy. Again, this is a good stock to keep in your watch list and look at it when a breakout happens above the pivot of 780. Still, it has a little while to get towards the 780 zone, a 12% move to get to the 780 pivot. But yes, consolidation near the 780 pivot, forming a narrow range again, and then breaking out will be a good sign for the stock to perform well. And it will also give the major base breakout above 850. And from there, we can see a good rally in this stock as well. Now, the next stock over here is Blue Jet Healthcare. Now, one interesting thing about this stock and the group that it belongs to, the healthcare group that it belongs to, is that in this current fall, this entire group has fallen relatively less compared to the indices, the general indices, as well as compared to other sectors, which shows that this sector has a lot of strength left in it. And when we look at it on a weekly time frame, what we can see over here is that after the listing, the stock has created a base and it has also created kind of a VCP pattern over here. As we can see, it is a 2T VCP and then it has broken out from here. After the breakout, it has given a move of a little close to 27%, after which it formed a base from which it tried to break out again. This is the second base which it tried to break out of, but it couldn't. And it didn't come back directly to the base, but after a bounce from the 10 EMA, it gave a base on base structure where it formed another base, after which a small consolidation later, the stock again gave a breakout. When we look at it on a daily time frame, what we can see over here is that after the breakout, the stock gave a good 40% move on good volumes. Now, this breakout and this entire move was on the basis of its earnings, which was very good. Let's take a look at the earnings over here. So, in the third quarter, the EPS jumped directly from 1.85 to 5.7, which is a little close to three times jump in the EPS. And the profits has also gone from 32 crores to a little around 100 crores, which is a good sign. So this entire move was on the basis of that, and now the stock is consolidating in a tight range where the distance on the top to low was a little close to 14% here again, which is a good sign. So the thing is that as long as a pullback is within 15% and it does not have any single candle with a large down volume, it is considered as a quality pullback and something that we can definitely keep in track. Now, what I can see over here is that the stock is again making kind of a base over here on the daily time frame. If you look at the shorter time frame EMAs, we can see that the stock is bouncing from the 10 and 21 EMA as well, which is also a good sign again over here. When we look at it on a 75-minute time frame, we can see that the stock is bouncing from this demand zone, and this is going to be acting as a barrier for the stock going forward. A breakout above the 800 zone will be a good sign for this stock again. When we look at the relative strength over here of the stock compared to the index, we can see that when the stock has corrected almost 8.5%, the index has at the same time period corrected a little close to 14%, which shows that the correction has been a little lower than the general index, which is a good sign again as well over here. The next stock now is Medanta. When we look at it on a weekly time frame, what we can see is that after the listing, the stock has given a good 260% move, after which it consolidated for a long period of time from 2024 February till February of 2025, which is almost a little close to a year now. What we can see here is that on the daily time frame, the stock is making a stage one base. I'll just remove the shorter period time frames. And when we look at the green line, which is the 150-day moving average, which is also the 30 weekly moving average, the stock is bouncing back and forth between the 30 weekly moving average, which is the signs of a stage one base forming. The breakout of this stock above 1250 will be the start of a stage two trend over here, after which we can look at a trade in this stock when the stock forms a flag and pole pattern or a base after a good move. What I would like to see over here is that the stock gives kind of a breakout from here. It pulls back, consolidates in this range, forms a tight range, and then a breakout of this range. This is a flag and pole pattern basically, but a breakout of this will be something that I would look for because the stock would be in a fresh stage to breakout zone then now, and that's where the real market leaders are formed, which give very good price moves. The next stock now is NH. What we can see over here is that the stock has been in a constant uptrend since the COVID lows, where it has made a little close to 600% move. And now, after the 600% move, it has formed a large base. The stock has made a large base of almost a little close to a year now. And now the stock is breaking out of that base with volumes. And it has given a little close to 15% move from the pivot. When we look at it on the daily time frame, what we can see is that the stock is still a little young in the breakout, where the breakout has just happened recently. What we would like to see here is the same thing like what we saw in Medanta, where there was a good breakout. Now the stock consolidates for a few days, after which the stock gives a breakout from that consolidation zone. Now this is essentially a flag and pole pattern again. It consolidates near the breakout area, and then in an inside bar day, we can take an entry after the break of the inside bar. So this will be the game plan for this stock over here. The next stock is Chambal Fertilizers. The This is one of the most interesting stocks that I have come across right now, where the index has corrected a little close to 22.5%, while at the same time the stock has given zero returns. So it has outperformed the index by a lot, and now it is consolidating towards its 52-week highs. What I would like to see over here is again a consolidation in a narrow range and a breakout from that consolidation. Now, the next stock we're looking at is Bajaj Finance over here. When we look at it on a weekly time frame, we can see that the stock is breaking out from an extremely large base, which was in formation since October of 2021, and it was finally broken out in January of 2025. And now it is making a flag pattern where it is consolidating towards near its 52 weeks high. And now it is also given an inside bar day. When we look at it on a daily time frame, we can see that there was kind of a VCP pattern over here before the stock gave a breakout, and now again it's making a flag pattern over here, and we can see that already there has been one breakout that has happened, and the stock has given a breakout and a retest over here as well, and kind of a pin bar candle also over here. Now what we can see for an entry over here is when we go to a lower time frame, we can see for a trend line breakout over here. But what I like to focus on more than trend line breakouts is horizontal line breakouts. When we look at a horizontal line breakout, a breakout above 8,730 can be a good pivot point for this stock for it to give way to new highs. The next stock is SRF. SRF is also similar to Bajaj Finance, where it has given a big base breakout where it was in a consolidation since October of 2021, same as Bajaj Finance, and it has given a breakout near the end of January again. Now, what has been happening over here is that the stock is forming an inside bar on the weekly time frame, which is an interesting thing for me. Now, when we go to the daily time frame, I'll turn on the shorter time frame moving averages. so we can get a clearer idea. Again, the stock is taking support from the 10 and 21 moving average and bouncing from there, formed a pin bar today and given a good closing on a bad day today. Now, what we can see is that a break above this zone, which is the 2850 zone, this will be a pivot point for the stock to give a good breakout and start with its next leg of its journey up. The only thing that I don't like over here is that the volumes are a little bit lacking, which is not a good sign, but I will still keep the stock in track for looking at if there is any volume developments going forward. The next stock is Gulf Oil Lubricants. Now, over here, again, this is a tricky stock because the stock has given a good 280% move, after which is that it has corrected around 28%, which is a deeper base, a deeper correction that has been made over here, and the stock is whiplashing now from the 30 weekly moving average. Now, there's two things that can happen in this stock over here. Uh, when I look at the technicals over here in this stock, I can see both sides, trades for both sides over here, where if there is a breakout below the 1050 zone, then it will be the breakdown of a symmetrical triangle. While if it gives a breakout above 1200 odd figure, then it will give rise to a good decent 5-10% move, after which it will again consolidate. Because what's going to happen over here is that the stock, if it breaks out on the upside, it's not just directly going to go up like this. What's going to happen is that the stock will go break out, give a retest, again give a new high, again a new higher low, again a higher high, again a higher low. And now when we come towards the 52 weeks high over here, the stock will consolidate in this zone now, in this very zone. And from here, a breakout from this zone, this will be a good breakout and a good swing trade that we can take over here. The next stock is Kamath Hotels. Kamath Hotels is also a little similar to Gulf Oil Lubricants only, where when we look at it on the weekly time frame, we can see a rounding base kind of a pattern forming over here, where the stock is making a base. It has corrected a little close to 50% from its top, which is a very deep correction. And that's the reason why the stock is not just directly going to go up in a straight line. It's going to take time, develop, and then make its way towards its 52 weeks high, where it's going to give a breakout. What we can see over here again is that there has been a good 60% move from the lows over here. When we look at it on the daily time frame, we have a 60% move from its lows, after which it has consolidated and the volumes have also dried up over here. And at the same time, the stock is consolidating in this zone. When we look at the consolidation depth, this is a 28% depth, which is not a great sign over here as of now for me. So I will still keep it on watch, but this won't be an immediately actionable stock for me. Now, what's again going to happen over here is very similar to what might happen in Gulf Oil Lubricants, where the stock now it gives kind of a move on the upside from here, then again gives a new higher low, a new higher high, again a new higher low, again a new higher high. Now you see we are near its 52 weeks high. Now what can happen here again is that there is a consolidation that is formed over here near its 52 weeks high. And then from this 52-week high consolidation, we see a narrow range. And then a breakout from this can be a very good sign for the stock. And the stock will again enter into a stage 2 trend where we can capture a really good move over here. And the next stock is Avanti Feeds. Avanti Feeds is also very similar to Bajaj Finance and SRF, where it is making an extremely large base since 2018 over here. Now, it's not since 2021 like in the case of Bajaj Finance and SRF, but it's for a real long period of time. And what we can see here now is that the stock is consolidating towards its 52 weeks high, and it is a little close to around 8% from its 52 weeks high, which is a good sign. Now, when we look at it on a weekly time frame, we can see that right now the stock is still very wide. It is not consolidating and tightening up well like I would like it to, but we can still keep it in track where we see a good consolidation forming towards its highs, and then a breakout from that consolidation will be a good move. The next stock is Taj GVK Hotels. Now, on the weekly time frame, this is again a very beautiful looking stock where the stock is breaking out of its base, but it could not sustain the breakout, so it came back into the base, but it still had a lot of strength. So that's why the stock again bounced back after taking up support from the 30 weekly moving average, and now it's formed a base on base structure near its 52 weeks high. Now, when we look at it on a daily time frame, we can see over here that the stock is again kind of making a flat kind of a pattern, and I still would like to see more consolidation over here. This stock is still a really volatile stock as of now. I would like for it to consolidate a little more before I would take a breakout trade over here. And the next stock is Deccan Cements. Deccan Cements is an interesting stock because of this volume behavior where we have two back-to-back highest yearly volume figures over here, on which the stock has given a momentum move of around 55% from its lows. When we look at it on the weekly time frame, again, this is a large base breakout where we have a breakout after 2021. Now it has consolidating towards its 52 weeks highs. What I would like to, this is still in a very young trend over here. When we look at the shorter EMAs, I would like for the 21 moving average to catch up with the price and then form a consolidation like it did with Blue Jet. As you can see over here, the price, the 21 moving average, came closer to the price and then the consolidation happened, which is a quality consolidation over here. I would like to see the same thing over here in Deccan Cements as well, where there is a consolidation for a few more days, then a contraction in price and a reduction in volatility with low volumes. We can see over here that the stock has pulled back around 18%, and the volumes have also dropped significantly, which show that the pullback was with low volumes and it was a good pullback, although it was a little higher than the 15% threshold that I have personally set for my all stocks. But let's see what happens in this stock and how the consolidation is. It's still too young to talk about what happens. The next stock now is Hexaware Technologies. Now, this is a relatively young IPO stock, which is very different from all of the other stocks that I've discussed over here. But the interesting thing over here is that I have noticed that in the last few months, especially in December and January, IPO related stocks have performed extremely well in comparison to the markets, where they have given a good 30-40% move after a consolidation breakout. So we can see a similar play over here as well, where the stock has given a move of almost 20% from its lows till its highs, and now it is around 4.5% from its highs, and it is forming a mini coil over here, which is a good sign as this shows that the volatility is compressing over here. Now, when we look at it on a 15-minute time frame, what we can see is that there is kind of a breakout kind of a structure over here, a trend line break from here, which would be a good sign, and another symmetrical triangle breakout from here. So a break over 825 or maybe 830 in this case. Yes, a break over 830 can be a good move for the stock where we can see a quick momentum move over here of around 10-15%. But it depends on how the overall market is and if there is money flow going forward in the markets. So yeah, this has been it. I have covered a few interesting stocks in this video, and what I would suggest everyone is that you start making a watch list now with good relative strength stocks so that when the market starts turning from here, let's take a look at the overall market over here. When we look at the general market, we can see that after a big move from 2023 till middle of 2024, the index has gotten into a stage 3 distributionary top now, from which it broke down in January of this year. What we can see over here is that the index is making a series of lower highs and lower lows over here. And the index have also corrected a little close to 21%. The general markets have corrected actually a little close to 23% from its 52 weeks highs. And it is still in a series of lower lows and lower highs, which is not a constructive sign as of now for us to start taking swing trades. But what we can see is that if something like this happens where the index makes a lower low, then it breaks above the last pivot high. Now it makes a new higher low. So now before, when the index was making lower lows before, like we can see over here, where the index was making a new series of new lower lows, a new lower low today. Now we want the index to be making a higher high, then a higher low, again a new higher high. Now when this happens, this breakout will be a change in the structure of the market. And this will be a sign for us that now the overall market for swing trades can become better once the index crosses the 50 moving average, which is the gray line over here. Then we can start looking at taking new trades. So, till this happens, what I would suggest is that you start making a watch list of high relative stocks or stocks which are forming a large base and about to break out of a large base. And when the indices finally start turning, these stocks will be the first stocks to give a good 15-20% move on which we can capitalize over here.